Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? We're talking crypto today, cutting through all the hype and the headlines and figuring out what's really going on with regulations, what the exchanges are up to, and where NFTs are headed.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. One of the biggest things is the SEC, they seem to be shifting gears, maybe trying to create a more well-defined path for crypto regulation.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff about that. A workable framework, I think they call it.
Right, workable framework. Commissioner Pierce has been talking about that. And there's this spring sprint toward crypto clarity roundtable they're doing. Seems like they're at least trying to move things in the right direction.
Okay, but I mean, how workable can it really be? I mean, crypto moves so fast. How do you even begin to regulate something like that?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, look at what happened with Senators Warren and Representative Auchincloss. They sent a letter to the SEC basically demanding more clarity on meme coins. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, so this is where the rubber meets the road,
Hmm.
right? Like, how do you create rules that are broad enough to cover everything, but also specific enough to actually be useful?
Exactly. And how do you do that without stifling innovation? I mean, that's the whole point of crypto, right? To push the boundaries of finance.
Speaking of innovation, I think you'll find this interesting. Coinbase might be buying Deribit. Have you heard about that?
Deribit, yeah, that's a big platform for crypto options and futures, basically, contracts that let you trade on the future price of an asset.
Right, so if Coinbase gets a hold of that, it could be a big deal for their users, right? Like suddenly they'd have access to all these sophisticated trading tools.
Oh, absolutely. It could be a real game changer for Coinbase, especially in the derivatives market. That's where the big players are. It would make them much more competitive globally.
So we've got regulations moving, we've got exchanges making power plays. What about NFTs? What's the latest there?
NFTs are interesting. Right now, we're seeing some mixed signals. On the one hand, sales are still strong, over $100 million recently. But then you've got Bitcoin-based NFTs. They've taken a bit of a dip.
So some parts of the market are cooling down, but then you've got stuff like this PNU ETF I was reading about that's a first,
Sure.
right? An ETF that actually holds NFTs.
Yeah, Canary Capital is the one behind that. It's a really interesting development. I mean, could this be the way that traditional investors finally get into the NFT market? Like through a familiar structure like an ETF?
It's definitely something to watch, and there's more too. Coinbase is now the biggest Ethereum node operator. Did you see that? They've got something like 11% of all staked Ether.
Wow, yeah. And then there's the Solana CEO, Anatoly Yakovenko. He had to apologize for that controversial ad, remember?
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
kind of backfired
Yeah.
on him, huh? But he did say that they're still committed to open source and decentralization, all that good stuff.
Right. It just goes to show you how important those values are to the crypto community, even when things get a little messy.
So we've got regulations and flux exchanges making big moves, NFTs all over the place. Anything else we need to know before we wrap up?
Well, one thing I've noticed is that the prices of the major cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, they've all kind of stabilized recently. What do you make of that?
Mm. Yeah, it's almost like the market's taking a breather, waiting to see what happens next, especially with the SEC and their workable framework.
That makes sense. A lot of investors are probably sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for a clearer picture before they jump back in.
So here's the big question then, right? As the SEC tries to figure this workable framework, as we see more scrutiny and new financial products like this PNG ETF, how do you think traditional finance and the whole idea of decentralized crypto are going to continue to interact? I mean, what are the opportunities here? What are the challenges?
I think that's the key question right now, and the answer is going to shape the future of crypto. It's something we all need to be thinking about as we navigate this evolving landscape.
Thanks. Absolutely well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Catch you next time.
Always a pleasure.